And he'd had a few girlfriends and he'd had a rough time with a few of them. Then he finally met this one girl, but she had an abusive Thai husband who used to beat her up regular. And this girl originally just wanted to go with this guy. He had a son as well from a previous marriage. They both fell in love with each other, and eventually he took her back to Australia. One night they were out on a small boat. The boat capsized. Same sort of story. Fell in love with a bar girl. They opened a place here and jumped in a kind of shop house with a Thai kitchen at the back. Rented a few motorcycles, and
what sort of advice, words do you pass on to men coming over here to help them navigate those obstacles? If your daughter was working there
in a bar.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, I'm 62. What have I got with my life now? I've lost my wife. I've lost my daughters. I hadn't lost them, but that's how you're thinking. And here I am sitting at 62 years of age in a hotel at Heathrow. I came to Thailand. I came straight to Pattaya for the first 2 months. I drank myself silly every single night, every night. Thailand versus the UK. For me personally, Thailand's got a lot more to offer. I can have a lot nicer life out here. But I haven't written off the UK. I don't like what's going on at the moment.
Do you have any memorable ladyboy stories to entertain the viewers?
Well, funny enough, I just read a story out about a guy who learnt a lesson, a very hard lesson.
Hello, and welcome to the Next Level podcast with me, Gaz Collins. Today, I'm with a very special YouTuber that before I came to live in Thailand, I was watching and taking in his content. So, much credit for him to turn up, and I look forward to what he's going to share with us. And if you're Thailand bound and considering coming to Thailand anytime soon, this episode is for you. Enjoy. Peter.
Hi, thanks for those kind words.
You're very welcome. Thank you for coming.
It's a pleasure.
I really appreciate it. Can you share with the world what you do?
Basically, I'm retired now, but I have a YouTube channel, as you've mentioned, and that takes up most of my time editing. I do everything myself, recording, editing, so it takes up quite a bit of my free time, as it were.
Got you. Can you dive into how your channel was founded?
Sure.
How you created it? Why?
So it was about 5 years ago, way before COVID. I was married for about 33 years to a lady from Korea, South Korea. Sadly, that didn't work out. It was lasted a long time, but it didn't work out in the end. And but back then, when I was still with her, we were on holiday in Hua Hin, which is on the other side of the Gulf to Pattaya, as you know. And my wife actually said to me one day, you should have a YouTube channel because you've been here a long time. You've been to a lot of places and, you're quite knowledgeable. So at that time, I was going to be your typical Thailand vlogger. And then COVID hit.
Got ya. How long have you been coming to Thailand?
I first got here in 1991, but it was for a very short period because I was in a venue in Singapore, and the management at the time wanted me to go to the Philippines and audition some Filipino bands, but they got me on a really cheap ticket, which I had to stay overnight in Thailand. But the first time I really came here to work was in I think it was 93 or 94.
Okay.
I came here to open a hotel up in Isan in a town called Khon Kaen.
Got ya. Because when I first started watching a few years ago, I'm pretty sure you were still in England, was you?
Yeah, that was during COVID. I mean, that was like 2 years. We were all in the same boat.
Yeah.
And I used to do 2 live streams a week back then. I used to thoroughly enjoy them. I still do, but back in those days, we were all kind of a bit depressed and drinking too much. And good times.
Yeah. Can you dive in to what your channel is all about?
Sure. There's several different things on the channel. One of the biggest parts is the stories. Guys send me in stories. During COVID, I was in the position where I thought, blimey, I've got this channel about Thailand and I can't get back to Thailand. What do I do? Because I didn't want it to fail. I wanted it to keep going. And I was racking my brains and I thought, I had a few stories of some unfortunate friends who, trying to word it properly for YouTube, they'd had long-term relationships with girls who came from bars, go-go dancers, things like that, fell in love, and you know how it goes in the stories. So a lot of guys have had similar stories. They come out here, they fall in love with these girls, they either get scammed or ripped off, and I think it makes them feel better by writing it all out and sending it. I always make everybody anonymous. I change names, so that's a big part of the channel. Another part of the channel is reviews. Every time I come down here, I try to stay in a different hotel and I review the hotel. And a lot of the times I'll just talk to the camera and give advice on anything I know.
Yes. Before Peter shares any of these stories, I'm going to ask you to stop what you're doing, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button if you get value from the podcast and what I do and what my guests share on the podcast would be really appreciated. Thank you. Okay, Peter. Now, can you dive into your upbringing?
Sure. I mean,
Who is the young version of Peter?
nothing special. I grew up on a council estate in the UK. My father died when I was about 9 years old. I left school at 15 in 1975. At that time, we were kind of desperate for money, so I had to think about helping support my mother. And I went straight into a steelworks at 15. Very long hours, very hard work. That's how it started. And then eventually I moved down to a town called Bournemouth and I got into the hotel industry. But I realized after a year or so, I was doing jobs that weren't greatly paid, things like I was a porter, I was a waiter. It was always within a hotel, but I actually realized after a while that I wasn't going to get anywhere just doing those kind of jobs. You know, you're on a fixed salary, you got some tips, but you weren't really going to go anywhere. And I went off and I did some courses, some recognized courses, and then I got into junior management in the hotels. I was in the hotel industry for 30 years, actually. I worked for a French company called Accor. I don't know if you've heard of them. They operate Sofitel and Novotels, Mercure, Ibis. So that's how it started, and it progressed to where I am now.
Got you. Can you dive a little bit deeper into what sort of character you was as a child?
I don't think nothing special, no different
I
to
don't
anybody
believe
else.
you, Peter.
Sure, yeah. I mean, I was, in those days we just went out and made our own fun. It was
Okay.
Remember, I'm quite an old guy. I'm a dinosaur.
Yeah.
I'm 65. I mean, in the 70s, we didn't have mobile phones, laptops, computer games. We just went out there and made our own fun. You know, built
Yeah.
tree houses, dams, and just went out fishing, things like that. Very simple.
Many naughty substances?
No, nothing at all.
No.
Absolutely
Oh,
nothing.
okay. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Also, you clean and
Nothing.
polished.
It's not that I'm a preach to other people or you shouldn't do it. It's just for myself personally. I've never took any substances. I've never had a desire to have any substances. I don't look down on anybody else who does.
Yeah.
But that's up to them. They live their lives. But for me personally, it just doesn't do anything for me.
Okay.
I think I tried something once when I was young, and
Yeah.
it was kind of like, wow, that was not that great, you know. So
Got ya.
yeah.
Share with me what your parents was like.
Well, I only had the one parent because
Okay.
my father died when I was quite young. So
Okay.
he was in the army. He was from Scotland, actually. And after the Second World War, he went over to Germany. He was with the, I forget what they call the unit, but they repair all the telegraph cables and the power supplies and things. And he met my mother in Germany. My mother was actually German.
Oh,
And
okay.
so not a lot of people know that. And he brought her back to the UK in the 50s. And yeah, just nothing out of the ordinary, really, apart from that.
Got you. Okay. And why do you choose Thailand? And I know you've spent a lot of time in Pattaya.
I think it's because I know it, really. I mean, I had this question recently on my YouTube channel. Somebody said, why didn't you go to South America or somewhere like that? But it's better the devil you know, isn't it? I mean, I never chose to come here originally. A lot of people come, they hear about Thailand. Now there's YouTube. They watch a lot of videos. And they think, yeah, that looks great. I'm going to buy a cheap ticket. I'm going to Thailand. And they come over and they have a good time, most people. And but for me, I didn't go through that process. I didn't think, I didn't watch a YouTube channel because there wasn't any then. As I say, I worked for a hotel chain. And the first job they gave me was the first job in Thailand was in Khon Kaen. And I've just been coming back and forth ever since. I've lived here for a number of years. I just like the people, the culture, the whole thing about it.
I'm with you. Wonderful. Can you share with me some of the most memorable stories from your YouTube channel that spring to mind?
Well, there's a couple of memorable ones. There's three I can think of, actually. One was quite a recent one. There was a guy, he met a girl. She wasn't nothing to do with the entertainment business. He'd come here, he wasn't looking for love or anything. And it was on a rainy, it's kind of almost like one of those famous kind of love stories you read about. But he came to Thailand, he wasn't looking for love. It was a rainy day. He dived into this cafe and he met this nurse who was wringing wet. And they became an item. He fell in love with her. About a year later, she was diagnosed with leukemia, aggressive, very aggressive, and she died. and obviously that was something that stuck out. There was another story where a guy he actually phoned me up and said, "Look, you've got my permission to tell this story," because when he sent it to me, I was thinking, wow, this is really going to hit the emotions, people's emotions. It was an Australian guy who came over here, and he'd had a few girlfriends, and he'd had a rough time with a few of them. Then he finally met this one girl, but she had an abusive Thai husband who used to beat her up regular. And this girl originally just wanted to go with this guy. He had a son as well from a previous marriage, and they both fell in love with each other. And eventually, he took her back to Australia. One night, they were out on a small boat. The boat capsized. He clung on to her for 4 hours, but eventually she died. And that was a really brutal story. Very, very difficult to read out, that one.
Wow.
And the other one I remember was a personal experience of mine. Was one of the first stories I told on my channel was a friend of mine called Thomas, who actually committed suicide right here in Pattaya. Same sort of story, fell in love with a bar girl. They opened a place here and jumped in a kind of shop house with a Thai kitchen at the back, rented a few motorcycles, and basically the family came down and threatened him. He went back to England to tie up some bits and pieces. He'd took the lease out, paid the key money. They'd done it all out, and it was starting to be successful. The family came down and said, we don't need you here. You don't show your face around here again. And a bit more aggressively than that, booked into a hotel, drank half a bottle of Jack and jumped off a balcony. Very sad, yeah. I mean, there's some really sad stories that happen here in Pattaya, and it's been happening for years, unfortunately.
What sort of advice and like words do you pass on to men coming over here to help them navigate those obstacles?
It's really difficult. The problem is, if you try to tell people too much, they take you as someone like a know-it-all. Like this guy thinks he's like he knows everything. And there's an old saying in England, I don't know if you've heard this one, but you can lead a horse to water, but you can't force it to drink. And a lot of these guys, if you try to give them any kind of advice, they already know it all. And I think until a guy's been burnt, he's got to be burnt once to really get the knowledge. And it's just how badly he's going to get burnt, financially or heartbroken, whatever it is. But generally, I say most guys who come over here are sensible. They take it for what it is. They have a good time, and they go back and work, save up, and come back and do it a year later. So they're the majority.
What advice would you give people, guys coming over here?
Just be sensible. Don't. It depends what they're doing over here. There's a lot of guys don't go to bars. People assume that all the guys who come over to Thailand want to go to bars and have holiday girlfriends, and that a lot of guys do. Yeah, the only advice I'd say is just be sensible. Don't do anything you do here that you wouldn't do at home. Like you wouldn't in the UK, for instance, you wouldn't find a new girlfriend, be with her for 3 months, and give her access to all your accounts, all your money, and everything. But people come here and they do that, and they're surprised when they lose it all.
What is the real costs of spending time with Thai ladies or marrying a Thai lady?
In what respect?
Marrying her. So say if someone wants to come over from the UK and they want to marry a Thai lady.
Well, the thing is, a lot of people do come here and they do marry Thai women, good Thai women. They have families. I've got friends who are married to Thais, but what they have to remember is it's a completely different culture. And what a lot of guys do, where they make the mistake, is they try and mold the girl they're with to be exactly the girls back home. So what's the point in coming out here and trying to find a girl 6,000 miles from the UK anyway? And you've got to be flexible. You're going to do things that are going to annoy her, and she's going to hate it, and she's going to annoy the hell out of you. And you've got to be very understanding and trying to adjust to their culture. That's the problem when guys take these girls and try to mold them into what they want. It doesn't always work. Actually, some of the most successful relationships here are the guys who they fit in with the Thai family. They don't put a barrier up, and they fit in with the Thai family. They take part in things. They eat a lot of Thai food. They cook, and they become integrated into Thai society. They're the ones who really work out well.
Yes. So what sort of price range would you say a guy wants to come over here, wants to marry a lady? What
are you talking
just
about?
Off the top of your head?
Are you talking about just coming over here and finding a girl to marry?
Yes.
Really, honestly, I don't have a lot of experience with that
No.
because I was married for 33 years and my Korean wife was with me. So short term, that kind of thing where guys want to meet. In the old days, there used to be dating agencies in Bangkok. You'd go along and you'd watch a video. You know, it's not like now where you've got Tinder, Badoo, and all the rest
Yeah,
of it.
or a menu.
Well, it was. You know, girls would go in and register. They'd make a little video, tell the on camera what their name was, how
Yeah.
old they were, what they'd like to do. Guys would come over from wherever. They'd go through this catalogue. Excuse me. They'd watch a few videos, and then the agency would set up a date, and it would go from there. But the biggest problem for dating Thai women here is the language barrier, because it is a real problem, and you can't always rely on the apps because they get it wrong. You know, it's different for everybody.
I'm with you. I'm with you. Say if a guy met a bar girl, okay, what's the general, because I'm sure you've had loads of them, say the sponsors.
Yeah, I mean,
what's the general payment for a monthly girlfriend?
Again, I'm not the guy to ask that because I don't have the experience. I mean,
Yeah.
I've been with friends who they haven't sponsored girls, gone back home and sponsored them, and I've heard various stories and people send me stories, but I don't have an A to Z of how much you should pay and for how long and all the rest of it. I mean, I know going rates on the beach road, of course I do.
Yeah.
I don't walk around with my eyes closed, but everybody's different. You know, I mean, one of the biggest questions that gets asked to me on my channel is how much do I need to come out on a holiday for 2 weeks, or how much do I need to come out there for a month? And it's like saying how long is a piece of string, because the thing is, it depends on your lifestyle. Are you going to come out here and go drinking every night and bar find girls and spend the whole week, 2 weeks getting drunk and with different ladies every day? Or are you going to come here and have one holiday girlfriend? Or there's so many variants. It's impossible to give a set, you know, this is how much you need.
Yeah, but what's the general, like the most accurate, the most popular figure that you get from, because I'm sure, like I said, you get a lot of calls coming in.
Yeah,
you get a lot of emails coming in.
Look, when I used to come here on holiday, but you're talking, I've been here 3 years now. So the last time I came here actually on a holiday for a couple of weeks or 10 days, something like that, was probably about 4 years ago. And I'd come out here for 10 days. I'd probably bring £2,000 with me. And for that, I'd have a good 10 days. But I wasn't going bonkers, and I wasn't I wasn't taking out bar girls. So if I had, I would have probably needed another £2,000. That's the most expensive thing, is the entertainment side of things here. If you're one of those guys and you come here and you just want to come and play golf, or people do it. People come here and they want to go hiking in the national parks and they want to see the country. They're not interested in bars. Those sort of guys won't need a huge budget because Thailand is still relatively cheap. It's only when you're in the tourist areas and you're in the entertainment zones and you're going into go-go bars where your money gets, you know, really down, goes really quick.
Yeah. So what's the general answer you give your viewers when you're sharing with them the price of living in Thailand?
I'm not going to do a self-advertisement here, but I run a kind of consultancy service where if someone really wants to talk to me one-on-one...
Give it me.
Okay, so
sell it.
I run a kind of consultancy service where if they can come online, speak one-on-one to me, and they'll ask me these questions, and I'll ask them a lot of questions. I'll say, for instance, like, what do you tend to do? How long do you intend to stay here? What level of a hotel are you going to be? Are you going to be in the Hilton, or are you going to be in 1,000 baht a night? And then I can kind of work out something that's fairly accurate. But what I always tell people who come here, whatever you budget, put a third on top of it, because if you don't spend it, you can take it home. And there's nothing worse than I've seen it happen. Guys, they've got 3 days left of their holiday and they run out of money.
I'm with you. So can we just break down a few prices for the people watching here right now? My rent, I pay 10,000 baht
right
per month. Pool, gym, sauna, beautiful surroundings, palm trees, wonderful.
How many square meters is that?
It is 2 rooms, so there is a bedroom. I'm too sure.
It's
not Arcadia.
Yeah, it's probably going to be about 32 square meters.
Something like that. Yeah.
So, what you just want to know general prices of apartments, or?
So you can get apartments for 5,000-6,000 baht, can't you? A month.
Again, okay, this is something where I recently made a video about. There's a lot of younger guys on TikTok. Okay, they're like 25, and it's funny you asking me this because I've literally just made a video about these guys who say, "Hey, I live in Thailand. I'm £500 a month, and I go out partying every night, and I'm going with, you know, girls from the bar."
Pushing it,
and it's absolutely BS, you know. That was the whole point of that video. But in answer to your question about accommodation, it depends where you are. You know,
Totally.
obviously, I live in the centre of Bangkok, in near Sukhumvit. I've got a great deal on a 51 square metre apartment, which is costing me 21,000. It should be about 25,000. If you go and live up in the sticks in Isan, yeah, 5,000 a month, you'll get something okay. I won't say nice. I wouldn't want to say nice.
Okay. So that's about what, £150?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it is possible to live cheap here,
Yeah.
but you're going to live pretty much like a local. You're not going to be going out eating steaks every night of the week. But on the other hand, you wouldn't have to eat on a food cart every night. I know guys who live out here on a state pension from the UK, and that's only about £900 a month.
Yes,
But
it's definitely doable.
It's doable, but you're not going to live like a king. This is what I keep trying to tell people.
So rent, we're looking at 200 on average, just average.
You've got to take it by city by city. I would say to get something half decent in Bangkok, if you want a one-bedroom apartment, Silom, Sukhumvit, that kind of area, you're looking at about 25,000 baht a month. If you don't mind roughing it a little bit, not so nice, maybe 20, 18. I'm sure guys will leave comments saying I live in a 12,000 baht a month. And again, it depends whereabouts in Bangkok, the further out you are. But we've got terrific BTS and the MRT. So Pattaya obviously is cheaper because it just is. The price you've just given for your condo, if it's 32 square meters, I'm guessing in Bangkok that would be about 18, 20 again. So as far as prices go, it all depends on location.
Yeah. Food.
Again, you know, it's one of those, it's just people are so different. If you can eat nothing but Thai food off of the street, then it's not going to cost you a lot, is it?
60 baht.
Yeah, but most foreigners I know out here can't eat. See, this is something that happens to me, right? I'll go out and do a video. I'll find a really good fish and chip shop in the heart of Bangkok, and I can get cod and chips for 250 baht. And I'll make a video about it so that if anybody comes here for a month and they fancy fish and chips, they know there's a good place to go, right? But what happens is I get people leave comments saying, hey, you live in Thailand, why are you not eating Thai food? And my standard answer to that is, if you live here full time, you can't eat Thai food for breakfast, lunch and dinner for the rest of your life. That's like saying to a Thai person who goes to London, you can never eat Thai food again, you know. So as far as a budget for eating, again, it depends on the individual. I know guys out here, they just can't eat Thai food. It just doesn't, they have to have foreign food. They love Thailand, but they just don't do Thai food. So obviously they're spending more.
Yes. So there's a very wide range, isn't there?
Sure.
With spending. As you just mentioned it with your YouTube channel, and I'm sure anyone in the social media field, they get a lot of criticism and negative comments and stuff. How do you operate around that?
I've changed over the years. It used to really offend me because I'm quite sensitive. And what had happened is I'd make a video about something, nothing to do with bargoes or anything like that. It could be, as an example, a hotel room. Okay, so there's nothing to criticize really. And I'd get trolls who have got nothing better to do and send some real nasty comments. And we all get them, all YouTubers get them, okay? Anybody on social media. And it used to upset me, I'll be honest with you. So I used to try and appease them. What I would do is I would write to them a nice long email explaining it, what I was trying to do, and maybe they'd taken it the wrong way. And you can't win because all they'll do is send you a 2-word reply like F off or, you know, something like that. And then I started blocking them. So I thought everyone said, ignore them. You're only giving them a platform, just block them. And I started doing that. But then I started getting, you know, as the channel grew, I started getting some real nasty stuff left. And so I started getting a bit nasty back, you know, to them because it was winding me up. And then I had I've got some really good, solid subscribers that have been with me from the beginning, 5 years. And these guys, you know, you need support from the positive people sometimes. And these guys would write to me and say, look, Peter, you know, you're getting yourself all twisted for these guys and, you know, you just got to ignore them. And so I've gone back now to kind of just blocking them and deleting them. And the other thing I was making a mistake was because they'd leave me a nasty message, it'd wind me up and I'd write something nasty back to them. Of course, somebody who's come to the channel for the first time, they're looking at all my replies thinking this guy's a bit of a nasty character. I don't want to be subscribed to this channel, and you start losing subscribers, right? So what I do now, I try and delete and block, but I'm very, very careful. If it's a subscriber, I'll write to him and say, look, you know, that was a bit strong. I don't think, you know, and I'll try and keep him with the channel. If it's somebody I've never heard of before, he's not a subscriber, it's just delete, block, end of.
Does Thailand save men or ruin them?
Depends on the individual again, doesn't it?
Totally.
Yeah. No, I don't think it. As far as saving men goes, I suppose I'm a good example. It's kind of saved me. I came out of a 33-year marriage. As I said, I've got 2 grown-up daughters. Because I'd been here, it was a natural choice to come back here. I didn't want to be stuck in the UK, living in a 1-bedroom flat with nothing to do, all depressed. And in a way, it saved me. I've come out here. I've made friends through my viewers. A lot of my viewers, I've met them, and I've got viewers who have become very, very good friends who live in Bangkok. So up to a point, it saved people like me from a miserable life, really, right? But I can tell you, there's a lot more guys it's ruined.
Oh, you think?
Oh yeah, especially financially.
Okay.
Especially financially, because the problem with the girls in the bars, guys don't realise they're so convincing. They're really good at what they do. They've got a script, and they're groomed by their peers when they get to them bars, and they're not nasty girls. If you talk to those girls, they're actually quite nice girls. Most of them are really nice. If you fall down off the back of a BART bus or something, they'll take you to the hospital. They're not beasts, as it were. They're actually nice girls, but unfortunately they're put in a predicament where they're not educated for the most part. There's not really a social security system to keep the family fed and clothed and housed, as it were, and they're put in a position where they can go and work in a factory and earn 300 baht a day or less, and it's hard work, real hard work, or work on a rice paddy. Or they've got the choice, one of their friends that they were at school with for a while comes back to the village, and they've got the latest iPhone, a designer bag, gold, and they look at that and they think, wow, I could take care of my family. And a lot of girls, when they come here, they find it extremely difficult to get into the life, because they're just normal, innocent Thai girls. And actually, genuine Thai girls are very, they're shy. They're very, you don't see public, outside of Pattaya, you don't really see public affection. Thais, that's all done behind doors. You might see somebody holding hands, the younger generation maybe, but basically kissing on the street like we do in the West, it just doesn't happen here. So for a girl to go from that kind of culture to suddenly she's in a bar, maybe in a bikini or something, it's quite a difficult transition for them. But they soon lose that and jump. They get into it very, very quickly. They have to adapt, or they don't make money.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
Big question here now.
Okay.
How would you navigate or operate, or how would you go about it if your daughter was working there?
In a bar?
Yeah.
You can't actually. I wouldn't be happy about it. Of course I wouldn't. And I'd try and find out why she was doing it. And if it was financial, I'd try and help her out. Any father would do that. But I've learned over the years, when you try and force one of your family to do something they don't want to do, and they're set in their ways, instead of giving them your support, you're just going to drive them away. My youngest daughter, for instance, I'm going to say this in a polite way. My youngest daughter doesn't like guys. You know what I'm trying to say, right?
Okay.
So I had 2 choices when I found out. I found out about 5 years ago. She's strictly girls. Okay. My first thought was, blimey, I didn't have a thought really. It was just shock. And I thought about it, and I thought, well, I can do one of two things. I can either go up to her and give her a good talking to and tell her how displeased I am and how angry I am. That is going to result in her totally blanking me out of her life. Or I can support her. So I sat down with her and I said, look, it's not what I was expecting, but if that's your life, if that's how you want to live your life, it's down to you. And in answer to your question, if she was working in a bar, I'd like to think she wouldn't have to work in a bar. But if I found her working in a bar, then yeah, I'd be very upset about it, because my own flesh and blood, and I'd try and do something about it, as would any father.
Yeah. One place in Thailand that is closest to your heart, and then maybe one place in Thailand that you feel that to avoid.
I can answer that with one town in Thailand, okay? And unfortunately, that's Pattaya.
Okay.
Right. Honestly, when I was, as I said to you at the beginning, when I was 65, I'm 65 now. In my heyday here in Thailand, I'm not trying to say to you, the good old days when I was a young lad. Pattaya is still what it was. But when I first came here, I was about 37 years of age. And I was going into go-go bars, and I was going, I was having a great time down here. But it's just changed. It's changed a lot. It's become really commercialized. I'm one of the guys to blame for that, because of my YouTube channel, as a lot of other ones.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. it's I've kind of worn tired of it now. You know, I used to
Yeah.
I've come down here because I had to do a couple of things. One with my bank, I did a couple of interviews, as I told you, which I'm going to release in the next couple of weeks. But I don't really enjoy Pattaya anymore. I'm not a kind of bar person anymore. When I go out with friends in Bangkok, I'll go out for a nice meal somewhere, maybe a Thai restaurant, and we'll have a few beers over dinner. And then after that, we might go for a couple of games of pool. And I'm back at home by 10 o'clock, 10:30, you know. So Patty doesn't really light any sparks for me, as it were,
Yeah.
anymore. And of course, there's guys, especially younger guys, who come out here and they have a fabulous time here. They have a great time. Of course they do.
How you was
But,
previously.
pardon?
How you did previously.
Exactly. But you're asking me, you know,
Totally. Yeah,
and,
yeah, yeah,
and,
yeah.
and what I'm saying is, for me, Pattaya was like there was nothing like it. You know, I died and gone to heaven, like everybody says. But now it's just worn thin for me. And
Yeah.
if I had, you know, I'm starting to go to Hua Hin more and more because that's a little bit laid back. Some people might find it boring, but for me, it's got everything I need. And I've just, you know, the demographics of the kind of people who come here. I don't want to sound like a snob, but you just walking about at night along the beach road, it's a completely different crowd to what used to come here. And it's not all for the positive, if you know what I mean. I'm trying to be diplomatic here.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I totally hear you. I totally do hear you. Do you have any regrets building your channel around Thailand?
No, I don't have any regrets because it's what I know about. You've got to, you know, a channel's going to fail if you don't know what you're talking about. People will see through you immediately. You know, I spent a lot of years in Thailand. I love the country, and I enjoy making videos about different aspects. And I do a lot of interviews like you do, and I enjoy meeting people. And it's just, for me, it's a natural choice because without wanting to sound like a big head again, I do know a lot about Thailand because I've spent so many years here. Had I lived in Italy, for instance, I probably would have had a channel called Italy Bound or Germany Bound or something.
Yes.
The only problem is when you do a channel on a country like this, like any YouTube channel, when you focus on one particular subject, you're limiting your audience because not everybody wants to come to Thailand. Not everybody's been to Thailand. So you are limiting your audience. Whereas if you were to have a YouTube channel about finance, credit cards, loans, property, you appeal to a worldwide audience then. So you're going to get a lot more, as long as you're good and you put out good information, you're going to get a lot more subscribers because you're more interested to a bigger audience.
Wider reach.
Yeah.
So regarding traveling, do you do much traveling out of Thailand?
Funny enough, I've just come back from Cambodia.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
I plan to do a lot more. Believe it or not, it might sound weird because I'm retired here, but I just don't have the time because I do everything myself. I do the filming, I do the editing. The editing is what takes the time, as you know. You have to make the thumbnail, do the SEO, the description, the title, and then you look at it and you think, blimey, it's Saturday, 2 days away. I've got to do the stories again. And then, you get the Sunday over and you want to do a midweek video for members. So I do get to travel. I've been to Bang Saray recently. I've been to Rayong. I've been to a couple of the islands. I'm going back down to Hua Hin on the 22nd of this month in a couple of weeks' time. I have a car. I have a scooter. So I do get to travel. And I just went to Cambodia recently because I just wanted to see, could that be a possibility to live there? I don't want to leave Thailand. I love Thailand, but they're always changing the rules, right?
I'm totally on board with you.
You know what I mean?
I'm a little bit like that as well.
And we never know from day to day. I mean, we're sitting
Yeah.
here comfortably as expats, living here full time here in Thailand, and we never know what rules are going to come tomorrow. Are they going to say, well, if you're a retiree here, you need 2 million baht in the bank instead of 800, or certain hoops we have to jump through? And I thought to myself, if I can't jump through the hoops that they want me to, what am I going to do if I've got to leave here? And I thought, I don't want to go back to the UK. So I went to Cambodia. I went to look at the temples, actually, Angkor Wat and everything.
Yeah.
But I also did a little bit of research to find out how much it is to live there, what the accommodation's like, food, everything. And I put up a couple of videos about that just to compare with Thailand. And I could live there, to be honest with you. It's cheap, but I prefer Thailand, obviously.
Here's a question for you. Would you be starting Cambodia Bound?
I'd probably have to, wouldn't I?
Is that the first time you went there?
No, I first went to Cambodia about 25 years ago, but I
really?
went to the capital and I wanted to go to Siem Reap. It was to kill two birds with one stone, as it were. I'd never been to the temples, they're the big ones. The World Heritage Site, actually. And I just fancied a little trip. It's an hour away on Air Asia, and it cost me, it was 5,000 baht return. Stayed in a little hotel over there. I quite enjoyed it.
Vietnam?
Yeah, I'd like to go to Da Nang actually. A lot of people
really
recommend.
like it,
Have you been to Da Nang?
No, I've just been to Hanoi,
Right.
but if I can choose anywhere, I would choose Vietnam.
Yeah, we're in such a lucky position because being Bangkok, it's only an hour or a couple of hours. You know, you've got the Philippines, Vietnam, Cambodia. Yeah, I mean, it's all on our doorstep. So anybody who lives here should take advantage of it because you don't have to spend $1,000 on an air ticket. You know, it's
Exactly.
peanuts.
That's my plan, to travel to a different continent in
Right,
another
right.
year or two
Yeah.
and travel around there. What do your family think about your channel?
Um, well, actually, I don't really have any family as such.
Okay.
My mother's now gone, so I don't have any parents. I don't have any real sisters or brothers or anything like that. So there's only me. So the only real family I've got are my two daughters. One's now she's 24 and she works for the NHS in the UK in the pharmacy in a hospital. My other one's got her own business. She's 27. So I brought them over here about a year ago. It was more than that actually, and 18 months ago, and they had a terrific time. You know, we went along the river. We had a river cruise. I took them down to Hua Hin. I took them to an animal sanctuary. They got to feed the elephants and everything. They had a great time. But I can't afford to do that every year. But the good thing these days is we've got WhatsApp, we've got Line. You can actually phone somebody and have live conversations, see what they're doing, what they're eating that night. So yeah, I mean, they don't. Originally, my daughters, when they first came across my channel in the UK, because you must know that the thumbnails that I use, I always try and put a picture of a pretty girl on the thumbnail because everyone does, and it sells, doesn't it?
You could get the click in it.
Well, people say, "Oh, it's clickbait," and of course it is.
That's
Everybody
the
does
job,
it, right?
innit?
And if you go into a garage to change your tyres on a car, what will you see on the wall? You'll see a girl in a skimpy pair of shorts bent over a bonnet leaning on one of their tyres, right? I mean, so when they originally came across my channel, they were a bit kind of, they weren't very happy. They were kind of saying to me, look, Dad, you've got two daughters and look at the images you're using. And I explained it to them and I sat down with them and I said, look, I won't go through it now, but I explained why I do it, what I do. And they don't really like my channel and they don't watch it, but they understand why I do what I do.
Yes, yes. How is like the Western view on sex industry and then the Thai culture?
It's hard for a lot of guys to get to grips with because they come to Pattaya and they think that that's what the Thais' attitude to sex, what they see in Pattaya. And it couldn't be further from the truth because regular Thai girls are very, very shy initially. Typically, you date a regular Thai girl for the first time, she more than likely will turn up with her best friend. And guys who don't understand this,
Sorry to cut you, but my first date in Thailand is that
what happened?
Yes, I
That
didn't
is
stay
so
long.
normal. That's so normal, and guys don't get it. So if you ask a girl on a date, I'm talking about a regular girl, right? I mean, they don't all. Most of them don't work in bars. This is something that winds me up when guys leave comments that say all Thai girls work. You can get any Thai girl from it, and it's nonsense. I mean, that industry, the adult industry here in Thailand, I think the World Health Organization, the numbers were something like 250,000, 250 people, and that included massage parlors, go-go bars, bars, escort services, the whole lot. 250,000 out of a population of 80 million. Okay. Even if you said half of them are guys, that's still 40 million women.
Yeah.
And even if you halved it again and said most of them are under 18, that's still 20 million. So it's a farce for when guys say that all Thai girls are that way inclined. I'm trying to be polite.
Selling their bodies.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And but you date a regular Thai girl, and it's not going to be like in the UK, a couple of drinks and back to your place sort of thing. They're very, very conservative. And when you know the girl's serious about you, that's when she'll introduce you to her family. When she says, look, I want you to come and meet my mother, that's when you know you've made it, kind of thing. But on that first date, if any guy watches this and he dates a regular Thai girl, be prepared for her to turn up with her best friend, and do not say she has to pay for her own dinner because you've just lost her then. I know a guy who did. I know a guy who did that. So he got a girl off Tinder, regular girl.
Yeah.
He asked her out on a date for a meal, a nice dinner somewhere. She came along with her best friend as a chaperone, which is totally normal, as I say. And he actually turned around and said, "Well, I don't mind your friend being here, but I'm not paying for her." That's it. He's lost her. I mean.
What's the most challenging period of your life?
When my family and myself broke, I say my family. 33 years is a long time to be with a person. And I was always used to, I had a nice house in the UK, a nice 4-bedroom house. And although my family weren't always in the lounge, in the UK, I'm watching TV in the evening, I could always hear some noise in the background, either upstairs or a door slamming, excuse me, or somebody coming home. And it was very, very difficult for me. On that particular day where we moved, my wife said to me, look, I think we just need to go our own ways. There was no bad feeling or anything like that. It was all done between the two of us. But the worst kind of time for me was, I remember on the day of the move, everything was packed up in the vans. And the time came where they went. My daughters have got cars. They broke down and cried. And of course, I had a tear in my eye. And that particular day, my friend drove me. I was flying to Bangkok the next day. And I stayed at the Hilton Hotel at Heathrow Airport. And I remember thinking to myself, I got a few cans of beer in. And I remember thinking, I'm 62. What have I got with my life now? I've lost my wife. I've lost my daughters. I hadn't lost them, but that's just how you're thinking. And here I am sitting at 62 years of age in a hotel at Heathrow. I came to Thailand. I came straight to Pattaya for the first 2 months. I drank myself silly every single night, every night. I managed to turn it around. So I would have gone downhill like everybody else, but it affected me in a big way. And yeah.
What do you feel was the turnaround? What saved you?
I've never been one of those kind of guys who quit. This is going to sound really corny, but I basically looked in the mirror one morning when I had yet another hangover. When I say the morning, it was probably 2 PM, and I just said to myself in the mirror, you've got to turn yourself around. And that's when I made the decision to move to Bangkok. Because the thing with Bangkok, Pattaya is a great place, it's a party town, but you're in your own bubble down here. And sometimes you can forget what's going on outside in the rest of the world. Whereas when you're in Bangkok, it's a regular city. You see people going to work. They're not walking around in Singer t-shirts and flip-flops. And that's really what turned it around for me. I just thought, right, I still drink, probably a bit too much, but I just got to the point, 2 months of drinking every night. I was paralytic every night, and I'd wake up about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, go and get some food, go through my messages, answer a few comments. I'd go out and I'd get totally leathered again. And that went on for probably 60 days, literally every night.
Question that was just floating around in my mind previously. How did you meet your ex-partner?
Oh, that was when I was in the I said I was in the hotel industry, and one of my jobs I was sent to South Korea in a southern town called Busan. It's now called Busan, and she was working in the hotel. I was very young at the time, 19, and she was working behind the reception, and we became an item. Her family weren't very happy about it in the early days, but I won them over, and the rest is history, as they say.
I'm with you.
Yeah,
I'm with you. What's some of the philosophies that have stuck with you till today?
Really, right now, because of my age, my philosophy on life now is really you shouldn't hang around with toxic people. I made a video called 20 Toxic People in Thailand, and we could all be some of those points. Even me, I can be an arsehole sometimes, right? But what I was trying to get across in that video was that you've only got one life. It's not a dress rehearsal, okay? We've got one chance at it. And if you hang around with guys who are going to sit in bars all day drinking and criticizing the Thais and, they're just focused on the negative things in life, you're going to become like them. And my philosophy now is I really want to make the most of every single day that I've got left. I don't know how long I've got left. I might have another 25 years left. I hope so. But I could pop my clogs tomorrow. That's an English saying, right? I don't know if you've heard that.
No, certainly have.
And I don't want to sound depressing, but the thing is, I'm here in Thailand. I'm enjoying it. And my philosophy right now is make the most of what you've got, because I get a lot of comments from guys saying, you don't know how lucky you are. You're living the dream out there in Thailand. And honestly, sometimes I'll wake up in my apartment in Bangkok and I'm a little bit on a downer and I think, I don't know what to do today. I'm a bit bored, I'm a bit fed up. And that's when I just jump out of bed and say, right, get dressed, go out, do a video, do anything, because otherwise it gets harder to get out of it.
I totally hear you. And the more you keep picking yourself up out those dreary days,
right,
suddenly just gets used to it, doesn't it?
Yeah, my advice to anybody who gets depressed, if you're sitting at home and you wake up and you can't be bothered to get out of bed and you feel like you've got nothing to live for really, it's just another day. My advice is get up, get dressed, go out and just do something. Even if it's walking around a shopping mall, you do feel completely different. In the early days, I had days where I'd lay in bed. I couldn't be bothered getting out of bed. I'd put my phone on, I'd answer a few comments, I'd watch some YouTube videos. I'd get out of bed at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and I don't do that anymore. So if you're one of those guys who are living here and you're on a bit of a downer every day, just get out and get out there, and it will make you feel totally different.
Positive, productive activity.
It's because you're out among people. When you're alone in your apartment, you're with your thoughts, you're going to get more depressed. But when you go out there, even if you walk around a shopping mall and you have an ice cream or a cup of coffee and you look at pretty ladies walking around, and you get a different frame of mind then. Maybe have some dinner outside somewhere.
Certainly. Yeah. Certainly. Money versus love. What's your view on both of those?
Well, the thing is, in Pattaya, you can't have love without money, can you? You got to have a lot of money down here to be in love. No, I mean, seriously, you find the right girl. I mean, it shouldn't be about money, should it?
Well, the money's a bonus.
Well, think about it. If you were in the UK, we're both from the UK, right? And I'm sure it's the same for anyone from around the world. If you were dating or married to a woman from your own country, you'd have to, most of the time they don't work, a lot of the time, not all the time, you'd have to support her, right? You're paying the rent, you're paying the electric, you have to give them money for a new coat, a new pair of shoes. She wants to go and have a coffee with her friends. What's the difference between that and doing that here in Thailand? As long as it's not, you have to give me 20,000 baht a month or I'm not going to be with you. That's just transactional. But I mean, if you've got a real girlfriend and she needs a new shirt or a new bag and you have to pay 1,000 baht, what's the difference between that and doing it back home, right?
UK versus Thailand.
Oh, don't get me started on it. So this is something that winds me up, is guys who come out here and all they do is slate the UK. Okay, there's a lot of bad things happening in the UK, but there's a lot of bad things that you don't see happening here in Thailand and other parts of the world. But these guys who come out here and all they do is make videos about how bad the UK is. If they had a heart attack or a serious illness or something happened, what's the first thing they're going to do? They're going to get on that plane to that terrible country, right? So,
certainly.
So what I would say, as far as Thailand versus the UK, for me personally, Thailand's got a lot more to offer. I can have a lot nicer life out here, but I haven't written off the UK. I don't like what's going on at the moment.
Yeah.
I don't do politics, but we all watch the news, right? And I'm really not very happy with everything that's going on there at the moment. But it's still where I come from.
Yeah. One thing I've just got written down here is keep in mind who will always have your back.
Right.
Keep in mind the base.
Sure.
It's like your parents, isn't it?
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm very lucky in that respect because I've got one very good friend, like a close friend, who I met here 30 years ago, believe it or not. And he lives here. He's got a Thai wife. He's got a Thai family. He's connected. I won't say him. His Thai family have some good connections in Thailand. And I know certain people who, if something happened to me and I had a real big problem, I could do something about it, So if you come out here, you've got to try and get in a situation where you've got somebody who's got your back, not the barstool preacher who's done everything, been everywhere, and he's ex-SOS, and he SAA rather, and he could get called up any time, those sort of guys. But you need to have a good friend, or at least several good friends who can watch your back out here.
Can you share with us what you know about the visa system currently?
Yeah, I mean, it depends. For most guys, we're still on the 60 days, okay? If you come in, you get a 60-day. It's not a visa, it's a visa exempt. It means you can come into the country for 60 days. Originally, it was 30 days. The Thai authority, what do you call it? The
immigration?
No, not immigration. You'll have to cut this bit out now. The tourism authority.
Okay.
So the tourism authority, they recommended taking the old stamp from 30 days to 60 days to try and encourage more people to come here. But they have had some problems with that. People setting up nominee companies and having ties to front it. And there was talk about it going back down to 30 days. I don't know if it will. So currently at the moment, for most countries, Western countries at least, you can turn up at the airport and you get 60 days. And as far as long term, you've got you need to be 50, you can get the retirement visa. There's marriage visas. But I'm going to give Mark from One Stop Visa a plug here because when I first got here, I used another agent. He's located in Soy 6 and he's great. Anybody who comes here, he can get you a driving license for a car, a motorcycle, your retirement visa, anything. He can open a bank account for you if you're coming here long term. And that's the current situation with the visas at the moment. in the old days, you used to come here on a tourist stamp, and the guys living here years, they used to go up to Cambodia in a minibus at the end of every month, and that's how they did it. But they've cracked down on all that now. You can't do that now.
I hear you. Do you know much about if a guy wants to bring a lady back to the UK?
Again, I mean, Mark from Onetop Visa, and funny enough, I did an interview with Mark this morning at 7 o'clock this morning, because he's so busy. If I turn up any later than that, like 8:30, 9 o'clock in the morning, he's just mobbed with people, and we do the interview in the office. And it's quite at 7 o'clock in the morning. There's no one there except him and Pom, his partner, who's cleaning up a little bit. But in answer to your question, he can sort that out for you.
Also, I might have to get him in.
Have you got a Thai girlfriend you want to take back to?
No.
Okay.
I'm thinking ahead of my viewers.
Well, if you interview Mark, you'll have to go to him because he's very busy.
Really?
Yeah.
And he's English?
He's English, yeah.
Okay.
And I highly recommend him. I do all my stuff with him. He's very reliable. Everybody I've sent to him, I've said he's good. In fact, I've got a friend who I did another interview with yesterday. I don't want to name who it is yet. He's got one of the biggest and best bars here in Pattaya. He's got to go back to the UK. He's got a Thai wife, and he didn't know what to do. And I said, go and see Mark. He went to see him yesterday. He called me up and he said, that guy's fantastic.
Yeah.
He said he's doing everything for me.
Future projects.
I think I'm just going to go on as I am. I don't know how long people will keep watching me. I started this when I was like 59, 60. I think I'm coming up for my 6th year now. I still enjoy it. I like reading the stories. Sometimes I read them and I think, did you really do that? One thing that really winds me up is when people write to me and say, you make all them stories up. They're not genuine, I mean. But no, I'll just carry on what I'm doing. I don't know, as I say, I don't know how long people will keep watching me. Maybe the channel will change in the future. If I move down to Hua Hin, for instance, I'll just do it for as long as I can. And if people still watch me, then I'll keep doing it.
How has your YouTube growth journey been?
Slow. I mean, look, I'm one guy who talks to a camera. That you can't make any video in Thailand that hasn't been done. You'd have to really dig deep. Every subject you can think of, from riding on the river in Bangkok or to coming down to Pattaya by bus, everything's been done and dusted 100 times. When I first started my channel, I could count Thailand YouTubers on 2 hands.
Really?
Now, especially in Pattaya, everybody and his brother's walking around with a camera.
Do you have any memorable ladyboy stories to entertain the viewers?
Well, funny enough, I just read a story out about a guy who learnt a lesson, a very hard lesson, from a couple of ladyboys recently. Because I get these stories sent into me, and when guys have things happen to them, a lot of them write it down and send it into me. And it was only a couple of weeks ago, a story. What happened was there was a guy on a beach road. He'd had a bit too much to drink. He didn't know what soy 6/1 is. And if anybody watching doesn't know what 6/1 is, you've got soy 6, which is famous for all the girly bars, hundreds of girls, screaming
That's
girls.
the number one street.
Right.
Probably in the world for women, isn't it?
Exactly, right. So the next street up, 6/1, is actually the Ladyboy Street.
Oh, that's like around the back.
Yeah.
That's the
right.
back door.
Right. So you got 6 that goes down to the beach, and then the next soy is 6/1. Well, that's where the freelance ladyboys hang out. I don't think there's any bars for ladyboys. So this guy's walking along the beach road. He had a good night, and he'd had a bit too much to drink. He was walking up soy 6/1, and there was a ladyboy standing there who kind of said something to him. Apparently she didn't really look too much like a beautiful lady like some of them do, and he made some comment like, you look more like a wrestler, or she obviously spoke English. I can't remember what the comment was, but he said something kind of derogatory to her, laughed it off, carried on walking up the street, and within a minute he heard several footsteps running towards him, and he basically got beat up by 2 or 3 ladyboys quite badly. Luckily for him, a motorbike taxi guy, the guys with the orange shirts, came down and kind of talked to the ladyboys and said, right, he's had enough now. And he actually said in the story, I've really learnt my lesson. Don't assume you can't do this when you're in Thailand. You got to treat everybody with respect, and they'll treat you with respect. Ladyboy working, he should have just walked past her, but he was new to Thailand, thought it was a bit of a joke. She didn't find it funny, and he ended up with a stiletto heel on his nut, as it were. I mean, it's funny to tell, right? But it wouldn't be funny if we were there.
There has recently been some vicious stories in the news, isn't there?
With my experience, most of these guys who come unstuck here, with the ladyboys especially, they bring it on themselves. You know, if you walk down Walking Street and you don't, of course, people will speak to you and they'll try and get you to go inside their club, or freelancers will try and sell themselves to you. But if you're just walking down, looking around, doing your own thing, you want to have a nice quiet beer and people watch your stuff, you'll be safe as anything. It's safe here, right?
Yeah.
But it's these guys, I call them Johnny Bravos, okay? They're guys who walk along like this with invisible carpet rolls under their arms, you know, and they don't move out the way, the pavement, and they think they're in their own country. And, you know, they'll go past a bunch of ladyboys and make some derogatory remark, and they get surprised when like 6 of them jump him, you know. And that's what happens. They don't fight one-on-one. If you have an argument with one, you're not going to fight with that one guy / lady, whatever you want to say. They're going to come out the woodwork, and normally it's the guy who comes off the worst.
Can you share with me, go back into your history, the first few times you visited Pattaya, Thailand, and compare it to now?
Oh, it's completely different. Completely. There wasn't a go-go bar on Walking Street. They were on Soy Diamond, the Diamond Hotel there, the Soy Diamond Hotel, famous. That's where the Americans used to stay, especially the officers, when the Liberty boats used to bring them in. And in those days, I was going to say Soy Cowboy, Walking Street, it was one of those places, you came down here, a bit of ducking and diving, it was a little bit seedy, you know, you didn't have groups of Chinese with the front one holding a flag and people walking through, you didn't have all the neon, it was kind of done on the cheap back then, you know, there was, you know, Christmas tree lights around the bars, it was all coloured bulbs, it just wasn't as sophisticated, but the people had a different attitude to now. I've got these 2 words I use, I say, tourist fatigue. A lot of the Thais now have got what I call tourist fatigue. Originally, when they started working here, they were very polite, they wide. I'm not saying they're rude now, but you know, you get so many arseholes here, you really do, who they don't know how to behave themselves. And the Thais just get to the point where, you know, they look at us all with the same light. And we all, you know, they just haven't got time for us in that way. Not all Thais. I mean, they're still nice. I don't want anybody thinking I'm Thai bashing. But it's changed. The attitude has changed a lot. And of course, in the old days, there were no mobile phones. So you'd go into a bar and, you know, all the girls in the bar would wire you. You'd get the pa yen, you know, the cold cloth, and you'd get a little massage just as you sat down. There was no pressure to buy drinks. And if you did buy a lady's drink, it was a champagne glass with Pepsi or Coca-Cola in it, which lasted 20 minutes. It was just, maybe I'm looking back with my eyes, but it just seemed a lot better back then. For me, it's industrial now. It's almost industrial. Like, leave your wallet at the bar, come back in 10 minutes and we'll give you it back. You know, it's that kind of mindset now. You know, you need to buy 2 ladies' drinks before you can bring her off the stage, or that sort of thing. They've really tied up, the Thais are really entrepreneurial, and they've really tied up all the loopholes where they can see every aspect of where they can make money. You know, it wasn't so much like that back then.
I hear you. Thank you, Peter.
Oh, you're welcome.
Coming
You're welcome.
to the end shortly. Is there anything else you would like to bring to the table?
Not really. I'd just say, you know, Thailand's a great place to come. I wouldn't judge everything you see on YouTube. There's a lot of BS on YouTube, maybe even from me. I don't know.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of guys on YouTube who they say things that aren't true. If you're planning to come out here for the first time, just keep your sensible head on. Don't do anything here that you wouldn't do in your own country. It's a great place to visit. The people are real nice. The food is excellent. You have a lot of fun here. Just be sensible. Don't and when I meet a guy who's with a girl and he comes out with a statement saying she's different, I know he's lost. He's gone. So
yeah, the best decision of my life so far was to move
out to here. Yeah, for sure.
It's a fresh start, and like you can recreate yourself.
Sure. Yeah.
Jumping outside that comfort zone.
Exactly. Yeah.
Wonderful. Where can people connect with you?
On my YouTube channel, there's it's Thailand Bound, obviously, with a hyphen. It's Thailand Bound. My email address is in the description. I put out normally about 2 videos a week. I've got a members area. I do 2 live streams a month. I've got over 1,000 videos up on my channel now. And maybe come along, have a watch. If you don't like me, you don't have to come back, right?
Great stuff. Thank you, Peter.
Okay, you're welcome.
If you've enjoyed that and you've got value from it, please hit the like button, subscribe. And if you've got any questions from me or Peter, drop them in the comments section. Much love. Thank you for watching.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Peace. Thank you, Peter.
Yeah, it's great.